Springs, California. So I want to start this morning by welcoming you first off and just taking a moment to bring ourselves into this space together. And if you will, just right where you are, just close your eyes for a moment and just feel your body as it breathes and just relax down into that breath and know that your breath is perfect right now. And your heart is beating just as it should be. And the light in your heart is ready to shine today. And you're exactly where you need to be. So just rest in that awareness for a moment and feel that light that's waiting to shine. And let's move forward. And just open your eyes and notice a little shift. So that kind of leans into what the subject of this Coach's Corner is about. I titled it Holding Space, and I've done many sessions on holding space, but today I want to do it a little bit differently. Today I want to focus on it from a space of how are we holding space for ourselves? And then how are we holding space for others? For the others in our lives, our family and our friends and the people who mean so much to us. And how are we holding space for the people we work with? Whether you're working in the field of healing or moving into the space that you want to work as a healer, or whether you're not working as a healer, we have the ability to shift the energy around us if we're holding that space. So it ties into the lesson of holding space and the lesson that we teach in sound healing of resonance. The message of resonance can be defined in many different ways. One of the lessons we teach in sound, that resonance is the prolonged, steady tone of an instrument that resonates for a long period of time. Resonance can also mean something that's deep and powerful and reverberating, like the sound of your voice, or the sound of a gong, or a drum, or the sound of thunder, or the waves on a beach. That's a resonance. Resonance can mean that a vibration or a sound is bouncing off all the other surfaces around us and it reverberates. But the one message that I want to tune into is the one that says the synchronous vibration of a neighboring object that is in tune with the frequency around it. And it goes into that message that the strongest vibration in the room is going to bring all the other vibrations into alignment with it. And so when it comes to the people that we work with, if we're holding space from our heart space, which we define in sound as the F note, the heart chakra, the green, that space of love and compassion and faith and forgiveness and hope and joy and gratitude and all that stuff that we are striving to see more of in our life. When we start connecting to that space over and over and over and over again, it gets stronger and stronger. The light is starting to shine. The light of our heart wants to be set free. It doesn't want to be closed in. It doesn't want to be walled in. It doesn't want to be limited because there is no limitation on it. If we box it in, we suffer. The suffering happens because that light wants to burst free. But when we let that light start to shine and we let that get stronger and stronger, people start being drawn to it. People are drawn to that light because they start resonating to it. So when we hold space this way, it goes back to the time, maybe you guys remember, maybe you don't, that before digital radios came into play, we used to have to turn the dial. And when you tuned into the station, sometimes you'd start to lose that station and you could turn the dial and it would get a little staticky this way. You turn the dial and it gets staticky that way. But when we tuned it into the right frequency, we could hear it clearly. We could hear our favorite song. We could hear the message that we were seeking. So when we tune into the right radio station, when we tune into the right frequency, we start to hear more clearly the messages of our heart. And our heart starts to sing because that's the authentic vibration we should be tuned into. So the work that we should be doing starts right here. Instead of going out and seeking the change, we should realize that we are the change, that to change, we have to move this way. Instead of going out looking for love, we should look here and realize that we are love. And instead of always going out searching for the light, we should realize we are the light. And when we let that light shine, we start to walk in our truth. So that's kind of the message that we should tune into more. That should be the message that we are teaching or preaching or sharing or talking to our loved ones about, is how can I let the love and light of my heart shine more freely? Now, we might doubt these things, but when I say them, because that light and that love and that change has been covered up by so much stuff in our life, that we've all gone through different drama and trauma and shame and blame. The stuff of our life covers up that authentic frequency, as if suddenly we've gone into a place where we can't tune into that station anymore. So we have to do the work to tune in, to turn the dial, to keep coming back over and over and over again, and then realize, because life is all about change, that sometimes that frequency shifts. So we have to start shifting our life in the way that it should shift, because the shifts occur when we change a job, when we meet somebody new, when something happens in the world. Everything's always changing. That's the one constant we can rely on in life. Maybe not the one. That's the constant we can rely on in life, that every day is different. And we can resist that truth, or we can tune into that truth and say, how can I be the change that I want to see in the world? How can I be the change that I want to see in my life? Because it's there. We should tune in and ask ourselves every single day, how can I connect more and more to the fact that I am a being of love? The ego is going to get in the way and say, no, I need to work on that. I need to work on that. I am not love. But deep in the heart, if we listen, the message of the heart says, I am love. I just need to practice connecting to that love. And when I do it over and over and over again, when I tune into that right station and I start to resonate with the messages of my heart, then suddenly again, I'm walking that path of truth. The message of resonance and the way that we send that out in our practice of sound healing or nidra or mindfulness comes back to that space that you want to be, that powerful station that people tune into. And I can tell you over and over and over again, in the work that I do with the people that I work with, when I put that message out and I hold space with that message, they start to tune into it. Maybe not right away, because people have resistance. Some people have never allowed themselves to sit in the presence of love, to be heard, to be seen, to be felt. So that message and how we hold space for our clients and for the people in our lives and for ourselves starts in the present moment. It all begins back where it all ends where it all began. We came into this world in the present moment. We didn't have a past. We were present. And when we were children, we didn't have all the baggage that we have now. So we were in that space of discovery, of looking and discovering and being curious about life and embracing the beauty and embracing the mysteries and embracing the change. Because when you're little, every moment you can feel the change happening, right? But as we get older, we kind of feel like we're stuck. Our personality is what it is. Our triggers are what they are. That shame and blame is there. I still have all that trauma. I can, instead of telling myself that it is what it is and I'm stuck here, I should move into that space where it says, it is what it is, but what am I going to do about it? How can I embrace the fact that I am still changing, that I am still growing, that I can become the change that I wish to see in my life? How can I move into that space where I discover that the love is there? And when I do that, when I shift my life to see that there is always love there, then I'm never lacking, because love exists. It might not show up in the way I expect it to, but expectations are the enemy of change. Because if we expect something to happen the way we expect it to and it doesn't, then we move into that space where we suffer. I want it to be this way, but it's actually that way. And I can resist it and try to change it to be this. But if it's this, if it is actually this, then why don't I embrace what it is? And then put myself and my love and my light into that space and let my light shine. So when we work with others, when we work with the people we love, we want to beam that message out, the message of love, the message of change, the message of presence. And time again, it might take more than one session. A client starts to tune into that. In the same way that if I play an F note singing bowl, people's heart tunes into it because the heart resonates at an F note, right? That's what we teach in sound. And so if somebody comes into a sound healing session and their heart is underperforming or underactive or overactive, as they stay in that space and they're embraced by the F note, their heart comes into alignment and it starts singing at the space and that resonance that it should be singing with. That's how we teach it in sound, whether it's a C note with the root chakra, a D note with the sacral, E note with the solar plexus, an F note with the heart, a G note with the throat, or an A note or a B note with the crown. When we use our instruments this way in a sound healing session, we bring all those energetic centers into alignment. So, but we can do that without our instruments because it goes back to the message that in resonance says that the most powerful vibration, the most powerful frequency in the room has the ability to bring all those that align with it into true alignment. So if we are the most powerful vibration, if we work on that over and over and over again, and we become grounded in that truth that we are the change, that we are love, that we are present, then we start putting that message out. And our clients and our classes and the people around us start tuning into that message. And I can tell you, they start opening the curtain because when we are love, when we are forgiveness, when we are kind and compassionate, when we sit and truly listen without putting judgment or blame on that person, they start to share. They start to discover. In the transformational coaching realm, we teach that we don't have the answers that our clients are seeking. They have the answer. So we hold space for them. We hold space in the way that we feel is most powerful. And without fail, every person that I work with moves into that space where they tune into the heart and they start listening. In sound and yoga nidra, we talk about how we move through these energetic layers of our being and we come to rest at the bottom of our heart and we really discover the truth, that the true intentions of our life exist there already. We don't need to go out looking for forgiveness or love or compassion or gratitude. Those things are already there. The seeds of intention are resting in our heart. We just need to nurture them and practice going into them. And what you practice grows stronger. So if you practice being love, then suddenly you start realizing the truth. You are love. When you start practice being grateful, you start discovering the truth that gratitude is yours. When you start moving into that space of forgiveness, you start connecting to the light that says, I am forgiving. But it takes work because the speed bumps and the humps and the roads that are twisting and turning through our life keep pulling us in these different directions. So we have to keep tuning back in. And it starts by holding space. Every morning, we should hold space for ourselves. And what is the message I'm putting out today? And that message doesn't have to come out in words. It comes from here. Words aren't necessary. In fact, sometimes words get in the way. But if I'm beaming that light and I'm sharing that frequency, people feel it. That's why they say people are charismatic. You know people that you're drawn to, people who are speaking their truth and are authentic, because authenticity begins with love. Now, they might approach love in a different way than I do. They have a different message than I do. But if it's authentic and it's true, and it's not based on anything outside of themselves, then it's love. And we can feel it. And I might want to hear that message. And maybe I don't want to hear their message, but I can see that they're coming from a place of love. So how could I ever be angry or hate them? But there are a lot of people that don't come from this place. There are so many people that put out the message of the ego and the message of power and strength and command, and that I am the authority. I come back into that space as I am not an authority of anything or anyone but myself, right? And I would never command or demand anybody follow my truth. All the books and all the messages and all the workshops that I've ever done, I always will say, this isn't a Bible. This is my perspective. And pay attention to the things that resonate with you. And maybe you can pull a few things out of my message so that you discover your path of truth, right? When I share something like sound healing with a group, and we just did a group of 17 here in Palm Springs, my message was pay attention to the things that resonate with you, because I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you. As you go through our different programs where you study in different ways or read different books or listen to these different teachers, their message is their message. And for you to walk your path of truth, pay attention to the things that resonate with you. Oh, this is what feels good. This is what warms my heart. This is what brings me joy. And then when you start connecting the dots, then suddenly you're connecting to that truth. We're peeling back the layers of stuff. I always have said from the very first time I sat in meditation from a place of truth, because for a long time when I was younger, I meditated with the intention of meditating. I would sit in meditation for 10 or 15 minutes and check it off my checklist and say, I did that. But then when I discovered the truth that meditation should ground me in this space, that meditation should ground me in my truth, and then I should take that forward with me into the day. So it's not just about that 15 minutes on the cushion. It's how am I going to take this message and share it with the world today? And maybe that message that I'm meditating on is, maybe I discovered that I needed to work on being more patient because yesterday I wasn't as patient as I should be. So I'm going to bring patience in today. And what can I do today to be more patient? And I tune into that message, that curiosity, that change that I have within myself. Instead of always saying I'm this old curmudgeon and I'm always impatient, I could say, no, I have patience within me. I just need to bring it to the surface and I carry it forward. So that's really our teaching, is what you put out comes back to you. That's what resonance is all about. Look, our message should always be that we live in this energetic universe, that the universe is this tremendous field of energy that's filled with highs and lows and light and darkness and happiness and sadness and joy and anger. The energy and flow of the universe is always there. But when it comes to the energy of the universe, we know that the energy is neutral. It wants to give back what we put out. So what is the message that we're putting out? It will give us that back. So if the message is anger, the universe will give us more things to be angry about. If the message is impatience, it'll show us more things to be impatient about. If the message is to look at everybody who doesn't look, think, or act like me as the enemy, it's going to show me more people who are my enemy. But are they really? Or is that just the message that I'm putting out? Because we are truly reflective beings. If you go through your life in this space where the cup is always half empty, it will always be half empty. Or you can shift that perspective and see the light and see the truth. That if I start focusing on all the things in my life that I have and the abundance of my life, then suddenly the universe shows me all that I have and more. If I start leaning into the truth that if I want to see more kindness in the world, I need to be kind. And that kindness will be reflected back to me, not from everybody, because not everybody's tuned into that message, but I'll start to see it more and more and more. If I want to see more love in the world, I need to be love. And I will discover those people who aren't in that space of love. and I'll work my way around them. And I go through life. And then suddenly I encounter that other person who is tuned into that frequency, and we come together. And then we continue to come together. And that's how we build a community of love. When we share love, when we are love, when we walk in love, then suddenly I see all these people coming into my life that are aligned with that truth. And we build this community, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. This is how we change the world. One message at a time, one day at a time, starting with ourselves. How am I holding space and putting out that message of love today? Because it's there. It's so easy to fall back into the same old routine of doom and gloom and hate and fear. It's so easy to tap into the habitual mind that wants us to focus on how can I blame my past for what happened to me? How can I blame this person who hurt me? How can I blame the world that seems so angry? But in truth, when we come into the present moment, we look around and we see the light and we see all the things around us, we tap into that space, the abundance of love that is right there, the abundance of all the memories and all the lessons that we hold in our life. That doesn't mean we're stuck in the past, but it means we hold those people that we love in our heart, that we carry the messages that ring true to us in our heart. And those things are meant to be shared. As I move through my own space of dealing with so many different levels of grief, for instance, grief for the loss of my mother, I practiced coming back into that space where I realized all along the message that she shared with me all of her life was love. And I carry that within myself. And that should be the legacy I share. That's the message we should all share, is what do we have inside of ourselves that's meant to be shared with the world, and hold ourselves in that space. So holding space begins in this moment. We breathe into that heart space and say, what is it I want to see more of in my world today? What is it I want to share with the world today? And then discover how we can do that. And then as we go through the day, we find those opportunities to pause and ask myself, am I still connected to that message? Am I still connected to that light? Am I still walking in love? And maybe I have to tune my dial back a little bit. Maybe I have to tune it up a little bit. Because as I go through the day and I start navigating all the things that get thrown at me, sometimes I lose that connection. Like I've gone around the bend of a mountain and that radio frequency has faded out. But it's still there when I rise above the walls, when I move above the darkness. The one message, the one constant that we can determine, just count on every single day, is that the sun will rise. And when the sun rises, it's not worried or doesn't care about what happened yesterday. It doesn't think about what's going to happen tomorrow. It just rises. The sun doesn't care if it's cloudy or stormy. It simply rises and shines. And we know that even if it's the most cloudy, stormy day, if we can rise above those clouds, the sun is still shining. The sky is still blue. And every single day, we have that opportunity to let our light rise, to let our light shine, to be that blue sky. That's the message that we should always be focused on and hold ourselves in that space. So moving forward from this space, maybe in our meditation every morning, we sit and we think about the blue sky and the sunrise and all the colors and the light of our heart. And then as we encounter other people, we might not say it out loud. In fact, we might not want to say it out loud because people might think we're a little bit. But I move into that space where I say the light in me honors the light in you. And even those people who aren't connected to that light, I can wish them well. I can see them for who they are. And I know no matter what they're going through, no matter all the drama and trauma and shame and blame that they carry in their life, there's still light there. There's still love there. They just have to tune into it a little bit more. So that's the message I wanted to share today. The message that says, how am I holding space from that place of love? Who am I holding space for? And then pay attention to those people who are holding space for you. And then we see that community come together. That's our true intention in this practice. The very first thing that it says on our website is we want to build this global community of practitioners, teachers, and mentors. This global community that I say is a community of love and kindness. And the more we tune into this station, the more we practice it, the bigger it becomes, because what we practice grows stronger. And that's the truth. So there's the message for today. Do with it what you will. But I appreciate you tuning in to hear it and move forward in this beautiful day and this beautiful weekend.